Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel, Lydia Lost the Plot. I'm Lydia and I'm here today with another weekly wrap up. It is the first weekly wrap up of September. Can you believe that we're here already? I'm looking out of my window now and it's absolutely thrashing it down. So we truly are past summer. Not that we really had one. Not that I'm complaining, I'm not going to complain. I am a little bit. I'm British, we have to complain about the weather. It's like a pastime. But I had a good week. I had a week off work, but I didn't get as much reading done as I would have liked to. Cassie the dog was a bit poorly. She's better now. But yeah, so I spent most of the latter half of the week looking after her and getting her better. However, I did finish 2 books this week and both of them I really enjoyed, one more than the other, but I will tell you about them now. I hope that you've also had a good reading week and that you managed to get more done than I did. But the first book that I finished this week was Boulder by Eva Baltasar, translated by Julia Sanches. Now this came very highly recommended to me from pretty much everyone that's read it. So I thought, you know, I'm on to win it. It's also teeny tiny. I think it's only like 105 pages, which is ridiculous that it took me that long to read it. But yeah, so I picked this up earlier this week, sort of on a whim, because I wanted something short and snappy and just to get me into the reading week. And this was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize. It might have won. I'm not sure, I can't remember. It's definitely shortlisted. But it's published by And Other Stories, and it is a story that centres on a woman who is a chef on like ships, and she has her own food truck, and she meets this lady one day and completely falls in love with her, and they sort of set up a life together. And then the woman that she's with has this sudden, or to her it feels like this sudden urge to have a child. And it's about her coming to terms with the fact that she might not want to be a parent or a mother, but the person that she loves most in the world wants to be, and how that just completely can complicate a relationship. And the decisions that she makes are completely understandable, but also kind of not right. So a lot of the time I was sort of screaming at her, and she was quite a frustrating protagonist, and she's not morally kind of angelic, you know. She's morally ambiguous, and I like that in a main character. The prose was beautiful. Eva Baltasar has, and obviously her translator Julia Sanches, have a wonderful way with words, and the translation really holds up well. The only thing I found, maybe I'd hyped it up too much in my head. You know, when you get like, I don't know, you get certain books and you think this book's going to be so good because everyone's like 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. And then you pick it up and you're like looking for the 5-star. And this isn't to me. I am picky, we know this. So it's not a surprise that I've not given this 5 stars. It's definitely in that area. It's fantastic, it's beautifully written, great topic, fantastic exploration of character, lovely way of weaving the plot and exposition without you feeling like you're being dragged along. It was just wonderful, but I don't know, something didn't click with me, and I wonder what that is. I don't know whether it's maybe the style that I didn't quite get on with, but I usually love, like, because it's quite vignette-y, and I do love a vignette. I mean, like, me and vignettes, we're like this. So I don't know, I'm not sure what happened. I liked it, I enjoyed it, I will be keeping it. It's not a book that I want to give away, because I think I'd like to explore. It's part of a trilogy, but I think the stories are unconnected, but they're all about women and love and so on and so forth, so they are connected by theme. So I'm wondering if I grab another one and give that a go, whether or not it will, I don't know, it'll click. It's definitely not that I didn't like this book, and only you guys will understand what I mean by that. That you can not like a book, but also sort of, I don't know, it just didn't quite hit the spot, if you know what I mean. So that was the first book that I finished in September. Now, the second book that I finally got to, after having it for like a whole summer, was Stephen King's. It's massive. Whoa, you like it darker. You could do a workout with this. Oh, I like the way it matches my top. This was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, I know you're going to say, Lydia, you love Stephen King. Of course you were going to like it. And that's true. That's true. But this was just phenomenal. Like, let me tell you, these are the stories that I marked as like phenomenal. There's a few shorter stories, and I feel like the shorter stories are the weakest. Not that they're in any way weak, but of the whole, it's like, I don't know, it's like saying that diamond's not as shiny as the other ones. Do you know what I mean? They're all bloody brilliant gems. But there's a story called The Fifth Step, which is phenomenally plotted. It hits you like a freight train at the end. And then there is a huge, it's not huge, but a longer short story in the middle of the collection that's called Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. And oh my gosh, do I wish that Stephen King had made that a full-length novel, because it was so fantastic. There is the protagonist, Danny Coughlin, and he has this nightmare. I won't tell you too much about it, but he has this nightmare about finding a woman's body, and he's so compelled by this dream that he's like, I'm gonna have to go, because he knows where it was that he found it, and he's like, I'm gonna have to go and just dispel this feeling that I've got, and then I can say it's not real. And he goes, and she's there, and it's just phenomenally written. I mean, it's Stephen King at his best in terms of fantastic characterization, quirky characters, fantastic sort of weaving in of these fantastical elements in a very real and grounded reality. It's so brilliant, and I was just swept away the whole time. And if that had been this long, I'd have read that story, so I was a bit upset. Then there's also a great story, and you'll know why I like this, called The Turbulence Expert, and it's set on a plane. So, plane, Stephen King, yes, right? So that had me at hello. And then there's a story called Rattlesnakes, and Rattlesnakes, again, is just it's so scary, which I really loved. And it's a continuation of, and this doesn't ruin the story of, well, it sort of ruins the ending of Cujo, his novel about a rabid dog and a woman and her son are trapped in a car. And I've read it, but years and years ago, and I really want to reread it. But so this Rattlesnakes is about the husband of the woman and the father of the child. Years and years later, he's in his 70s now, and about he starts looking after this house and things start happening. And it's just incredible. It's really difficult. There are moments in it that are that relate to child mortality, and they can be quite hard to read. But if you're a Stephen King fan, nothing's off limits, is it? So we're used to dealing with the darker side of life, and we like it darker. So just to be warned, but that is a phenomenal story, and it's nice that it's a continuation of Cujo. However, if you have not read or watched Cujo and you've not seen the ending, and you want to experience that without a spoiler, skip Rattlesnakes if you've got this collection before you read Cujo. Read Cujo first, then read Rattlesnakes. It won't take away from the collection if you skip that story, because they are unconnected stories, but it it inevitably it has to talk about the ending of Cujo, because that's sort of where the protagonist came from, so he does reference it. So yeah, just to be warned, skip that one if you don't want to know the ending. However, if you do know the ending, oh my gosh. It's just phenomenal. This also hints to Key. So if anybody has read that book, I've not yet, but I know a bit about the story, and where it's set is just off the coast of Key, so there's a little bit of talk about that. So again, it's these little hints to the Stephen King universe, to like the Castle Rock world, but none of it is sort of too on the nose. You don't have to know about this stuff. You could read Rattlesnakes and never read Cujo, and you'd still get the full experience from it. He doesn't assume you know, which I really love, because I think anyone new to his work, I would direct to this. I think this is his best short story collection, probably since Full Dark No Stars. Because it feels so brilliantly written. And he says in the afterword, at the end of the book, about how a lot of these stories have been waiting for like 30 years in a drawer. And I'm like, what? And he says, never throw away your work. And I think, how have these been hiding for 30 years? Like, they're phenomenally written and they're fantastic. And I can't imagine how many stories that he has at home just like used as a paperweight, or, you know, in the back of a drawer, that are the next Salem's Lot, or the next Pet Cemetery, or the next 11/22/63. So I for me, as a Stephen King super fan, this was the creme de la creme of Stephen King's work. I loved it. It's a great introduction to Stephen King if you've never ventured into him before and you're a little bit worried about hitting a full-length novel. I get it. He's a waffler. It takes about 50 pages to say one thing. I love that. Some people hate it. So if you want to read some of his shorter fiction, especially given that it's Shorty's September, so, you know, there are very short stories in here. Have a read of one or two. I would recommend jumping into Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, because it's about 100 or so pages long, and it's a perfect example of all of the things that Stephen King does so well. And if you like that, you're gonna like his longer form fiction, and you'll probably get on with his other work, particularly his earlier work. This is very reminiscent of early Stephen King, without the kind of acid induced LSD trips that we occasionally had to go on. Luckily he's sober now. Woo! And you can tell. But it's such a great collection. I enjoyed it so much. And you know what? I took my time, and I think that's why I've not read a lot this week, because I really wanted to enjoy every story. I would read the story and then put it down and then just like sit with it for a bit, because it's so good. And you don't want to jump onto the next character, because you get attached, even in these short, I think the shortest one's like 10 pages long. And I got really attached to the protagonist, and I was like, I can't leave him now, I'm gonna have to wait a minute. So yeah, but it's phenomenal. I loved it. So yeah, that has been my reading week. Now, I have thoroughly enjoyed them all. I am currently reading Fireweather by John Vaillant, and it's very, very good. I've also started another book, which I won't talk about just yet, because it's going to be in one of my videos. If you are enjoying my videos and you like this one, please give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more bookish things. I have been listening to, on repeat, Rachel Chinariri's album, What a Devastating Turn of Events. It has been like my album of the summer, along with Chapel Roan and Billie Eilish. Rachel Chinariri is just phenomenal, and her song It Is What It Is basically is the way that I only speak to people now. So yeah, it's just become a whole personality. Like, any hyperfixation does. But that's what I've been listening to. What I have been watching, I recently watched, I think it's called Deliverance with Glenn Close in. Wow. It was good. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was phenomenal. But there are a couple of lines in it that Glenn Close says that made me howl with laughter, and they shouldn't have. But they did. I don't know how they got her to say it. But if you've not watched that, it's a fantastic horror movie based on true events, and Glenn Close is just phenomenal from start to finish. Andra Day is also absolutely incredible in it as the mother, and yeah, it's got all of your sort of horror tropes in there, but it's very grounded in reality. Again, the kind of horror that I like. It's not too fantastical, it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination, which makes it all the more scary. So I thoroughly enjoyed that film. It is out on Netflix at the moment, so if you've got that, go stream it now. But yeah, that's been it really for me. I'm back to work this week, and I'm back for I think it's 7 days in a row, so I'm going to be busy. We've got lots of exciting things coming up this week. We've got the Booker Prize shortlist is going to be announced pretty soon. We've got a lot of long lists being announced as well, and also in the bookshop we've got some big new releases. I think the biggest one will be Richard Osman's We Solve Murders. That's coming up pretty soon. We've already started getting a bit of stock, so it's exciting. I think that's going to be a big hit with our customers. So let me know what you're excited about for September. What books are you looking forward to? Are there any prizes you're keeping your eye on? And what are you going to be reading? Please let me know. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.